This video has been funded in part by the Guild via Patreon. Check out the links in the description or at the end of this video for more details.
Hello everybody, my name is Chris Gildart, and welcome back to another Musou pros vs cons review. We are about to jump into the Pirate Warriors game that started my One Piece journey. Now, I mentioned that I read some of the manga in early Shonen Jump magazines, but this is where my interest really started. One Piece has a long history and a very robust lore that many of the greats in anime have a hard time rivaling. I didn't really feel like the first two Pirate Warriors games lived up to the legacy that is One Piece. The first game ended right before the time skip and didn't include any villains as playable characters. Though it did have a good story, it didn't really give me a reason to go back and replay it other than grinding out levels and trophies. The second game did a better job on the roster and overall mechanics, but gave us a completely original story that didn't hit right in my opinion. It wasn't so bad that it ruined the game, it was just so middle of the road it might as well have been the divider. I also would have liked to see them give us more stages that actually adapted the anime story. This third entry was released in Japan for PS3, PS4, Vita, and PC on March 26, 2015, in North America on August 25th, and Europe on August 28th. We would also later see a deluxe edition that came with all DLC hit Switch and PC in Japan on December 21st, 2017, North America on May 10th, 2018, and Europe on May 11th. Considering this is the first Pirate Warriors game to reach this many consoles, it goes without saying that this would also be played by a larger player base. This was one thing I never really understood about the first two games only being released on PS3, with Pirate Warriors 2 only having a Japanese exclusive Vita port. This is also the first Pirate Warriors game to be released on an 8th generation console, meaning we will likely see better visuals and performance. Now, I originally played this game on PS4, but I now own every single port of this game, so I am excited to re-experience it. But maybe I'm getting a little too far ahead of myself. Don't forget to give this video a like, comment with your thoughts below, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. Alright, it's time to jump into One Piece Pirate Warriors 3 with the first Pro. Let's start things off with the graphics because there is one hell of a jump with this game. I'm playing the PS4 version on a PS5 and it looks absolutely gorgeous. The difference isn't just a resolution bump like a handful of games that were released on both PS3 and PS4. No, this is similar to the graphical boost we saw when Dynasty Warriors 8 Extreme Legends finally made its way over to this generation. The PS3 and that generation had some muddy graphics just due to the hardware, but thanks to the PS4's capabilities, we see things looking way more crisp and with much better lighting. Shadows cast a more realistic silhouette. Particle effects from attacks will even shine more on surfaces. There are even stages with rain where the wet ground will reflect what's above. I feel like I talk a lot about graphics on this channel when it comes to reviews, but I have become somewhat of a snob when it comes to the visuals. I always want at least 1080p and 60 frames per second with my games. Though, once I upgrade my setup, I'll be looking for 4K with all of my games. From what I can tell from a bit of research, Pirate Warriors 3 does not offer 4K resolution options even on PS5. Instead, the main difference you're going to see is in performance. I don't think I ever had this game drop below 60 frames while playing, even when there was a bunch of enemies on screen with loads of particle effects. Sure, if you're playing on a base PS4, you may see some dropped frames or a slight slowdown, but nothing like what we saw with Pirate Warriors 1 and 2 on PS3. If you can, I would highly recommend playing this on PS5 to achieve the best graphics that you can. Con! Now, even though I just praised it, there are some issues with the graphics that I really want to get into. Pirate Warriors 3 was released on a good number of consoles: PS3, Vita, Switch, PS4, and PC. That's even one more console than Pirate Warriors 4. The issue here is that only the PS4 version has the graphical boost. The PS3 and Vita versions don't look too different from the previous entries, though I will say that they do run fairly competently on those consoles given the PS3 and Vita's notorious reputation to drop frames. I also didn't expect much of an improvement graphically from these consoles. The Switch is practically a beefed up Wii U, so it's also understandable that we don't get anything other than the resolution improvements with that console. But the PC version not having the modern HD textures is an absolute crime. This hits very similar to other games like Samurai Warriors 4-2, Dynasty Warriors 8 Empires, and Dynasty Warriors 8 Extreme Legends. I've always heard some fairly decent things about Namco Bandai's PC ports, not as bad as other Japanese publishers. So you would think that they would push Koei Tecmo to put the PS4 graphics on the PC port, but here we are. I honestly don't know why they made this decision, because the PC should be able to not only handle the updated graphics, but it should also handle more enemies on screen and a higher resolution without losing that solid 60 frames. It's incredibly disappointing to see them go this way, especially knowing the PC and PS4 versions were released alongside the PS3 and Vita, so they can't even use the excuse that the PS4 version came out later with the updated visuals. Since we're on the topic of the PC version, the controller mapping here is horrendous. I've heard of this issue with older PC games, especially with Japanese developed titles not having good controller support. When I'm gaming on PC, I use an Xbox Series controller, but I've seen this issue with 360 and One controllers as well. Apparently this has something to do with porting over the PlayStation controller mapping, so maybe using a PS4 or PS5 controller will help, but I haven't had a chance to test any of that. Essentially, this game won't recognize the triggers or the right analog stick. Everything else is fine, but because you're losing out on 6 possible inputs, it feels extremely limiting. I actually played it with keyboard controls instead and just mapped everything to feel somewhat comfortable. If you can take one thing away from this review, do a bit of extra research before buying this on PC. Don't use an Xbox controller. If you have a console, it might be better to pick it up on that, and in fact, just get it for PS4. That's your best bet. Alright, now it's time to talk about what most people are here for. The gameplay. One Piece Pirate Warriors 3 takes everything established by the first game, solidified by the second game, and evolves it all even further. You have the usual stuff: square is normal, triangle is charge attack, X is dodge, circle is Musou, L1 resets your camera, R1 is your special skill. What's new here is that lock on is mapped to L2, and R2 activates your Kizuna Rush. This is the replacement for the crew style attacks from the second game. You still have crew members you can use and rank up. The difference here is that instead of selecting your crew before the stage, your crew is dependent on the allies that you have in that stage. You can swap between crew members by pressing up and down. As you attack, you'll build up the crew meter. Once it's above 1 full bar, you can call out your crew member for an additional attack by continuing to press square or triangle at the end of a combo. Once it's maxed out, you can activate Kizuna Rush, which is kind of like a rage mode. If you hit circle during the Kizuna Rush, you'll do a special Kizuna attack. You and your crew member will come out and attack together. The more crew members you've activated Kizuna Rush with throughout the stage, the more allies will attack with you. Crew members will come and go through some stages, but if one has a crown next to their icon, you can activate hero power by filling the bar one more time after max. I honestly found this to be a great way to keep you on your toes throughout the stage and try to max out your crew meter with all of your allies to do a massive special Kizuna attack. Every character plays so unique from each other too. All of the characters from the first 2 games are here with more added to give depth to the story. Pirate Warriors 3 goes back to following the story of the anime, which is an absolute welcome. The final stage is an original story though, which I imagine is because that arc was airing at the time this game was released, so maybe it hadn't ended yet. But the story is so much better than the first 2 games. There are comic-style cardboard cutout scenes that give the player most of the exposition. You do get some really good-looking cutscenes as well, recreating some of the iconic moments of the anime. I found this game to be way better to dive into the overall story of One Piece than the first game. Since there are more characters to feed the interactions, you can do so much more. There are also hidden character-specific missions throughout the stages that give you events you wouldn't experience if you were playing as somebody else. This really increases replayability along with trying to get the S rank on everything, completing all the staged legend maps, and unlocking coins, which have more importance in this game. In the last 2 games, coins were just used to equip and increase stats or provide additional abilities. They were very similar to the items of older Warriors games. With Pirate Warriors 3, you can use coins to slowly increase your stats and unlock things like costumes and Musous. Some coins are random while other coins require you to complete legend maps or finish certain stages with specific characters. As a completionist, these little additions help me get more out of games. I can jump into a stage with the purpose of grabbing some coins, but also to work towards leveling up my characters, so it's a win-win situation. This has helped Pirate Warriors 3 become one of those games that I continuously come back to time and time again. I know I kind of praised it in the last Pro, but when it comes to the cutscenes and the story, they could have done a much better job overall. Yes, you're going to see some scenes recreated with the look of the game, but there's something that I noticed thanks to going back and playing through every single Pirate Warriors game. Now, I didn't know this until this year either. I started with Pirate Warriors 3, but the game uses cutscenes directly pulled from the first two games. It's mostly from the first one, but it's like they grabbed the video file from the first game and just plopped it in here. This does make for some weird situations, like the area that the cutscenes are taking place in not actually appearing in this game. The larger issue I have is with how these cutscenes look. They didn't redo them with the Pirate Warriors 3 engine. They didn't even buff them up to suit the 1080p resolution that you get on PS4. It's almost like they just dropped the 720p file into this game, and it is very noticeable. The one with Mihawk and Zoro is probably the most noticeable, with Jaggies all over the place. Then there's the one with Crocodile, where the cutscene even lags where the PS3 version would. This honestly makes me question if they copy and pasted the video file, or if they recorded the cutscenes themselves on a PS3 instead. Not to mention the use of cardboard cutout scenes for exposition. Sure, they do get a lot across to the player so that we can get the most out of the story, but I feel like they could have done a better job displaying the character models conversing with each other. Then there's a fact that only really plagues the PS4 version of the game, and that's how they blocked the cutscenes from being recorded on console. You can still record it by using a capture device like I'm doing, but if you want to record or stream directly from your console using the share button, you're fucked. This in itself isn't an issue for me, but the pop-up that happens every single time is. It's so annoying to see the pop-up at the beginning and end of every single cutscene. It also happens at the end of every stage, even if there's no cutscene, so I have no sweet clue what's going on there. You can't even turn these notifications off. It's one of the only notifications that you have to deal with on this console. If it were for the lack of modern graphics on the Switch or PC version, I would jump ship to those instead.
Pro.
One thing that always helps a Warriors game and its replayability is additional modes. The first two games had a challenge mode that I just found to feel thrown in for the sake of padding out the experience. Pirate Warriors 3 has no challenge mode, but instead has a dream log. Here, you select any character and are taken to a map of multiple islands. Each island is its own stage. Some islands on the map have characters standing on them. If you take them out, you'll unlock that character for dream mode as well as in free mode. You can buy wanted posters to make enemies appear for a short period of time. If you take them out before they disappear, you'll get a decent amount of money, but also a chance to get a rare coin. Some of these coins are required if you really want to beef up all of your characters. Dreamlog is also the only way to unlock some characters. So if you want the complete roster, this is the way to go once you've finished the story. There is one additional thing that I'll also mention. I am currently missing one costume for Teach, and in order to do that, I have to restart Dreamlog with anyone but Shanks and play through it again. When I get to the end and I have to fight Shanks again, I need to finish that fight with Teach. At least, that's what I read online. Honestly though, you're going to want to play through Dreamlog multiple times to get the most out of this game. Want to get lots of coins and belly to level up your characters? Dreamlog is the way to go. I also want to mention the roster because this is the largest one that we've seen to date with 37 playable characters. You even get the pre and post time skip versions of many characters. The Straw Hat Pirates even get different movesets for their pre and post time skip costumes. That's right, unlike Pirate Warriors 2, we now get to enjoy keeping the same level between pre and post time skip variants because they are costumes instead of different characters. As well, some of the characters that were added here were non-playable in the second game, like Ivankov and Megalan. Seriously, this is one of the most solid rosters I've seen in an anime spin-off Warriors title. The last pro I'll mention is something that the first two games suffered from. Pirate Warriors 3 was released for PS4 and was the first Pirate Warriors game to receive a physical copy in North America. Not only that, unlike the first two games, it is still currently listed on PSN, Steam, and the eShop for Switch, along with all its DLC. Not only does it include the new DLC outfits that appeared in the Dressrosa arc, but it also includes DLC costumes from the first two games.
This includes the Dynasty and Samurai Warriors crossover costumes that appeared in the second game. So one of the biggest things I feel I missed out on thanks to the delisting of the first two games was given to us here. I honestly can't tell you how happy this makes me. I know there are people who don't like DLC, but I am a massive fan of it when it means I don't miss out on content like this. There is one thing that modern Warriors titles are missing. You know, Pirate Warriors 3 came out the same year as games like Samurai Warriors 4-2 and Dynasty Warriors 8 Empires. Even before that, we had Warriors Orochi 3 and Dynasty Warriors 8 hitting PS4. The next year, we saw Arslan, the Warriors of Legend, Samurai Warriors 4 Empires, as well as Berserk and the Band of the Hawk. All of these have something in common with Pirate Warriors 3. And you know the sad thing? Pirate Warriors 1 and 2 had this to some extent. Now, a game not having this isn't a breaking point. It's not the most important aspect of a good game, but when it comes to Warriors games, it does add a surprising layer of quality. Now, some of you may have put 2 and 2 together at this point, but let's keep the guessing game going. The very first game to start this trend was actually the first Dynasty Warriors Gundam. We've had a couple of games give this to us since Dynasty Warriors Gundam, and even since Pirate Warriors 3, but they've been very few and far between, and I think a lot of people would appreciate a return. For those of you that haven't figured it out yet, I'm talking about victory animations. Yes, it seems like a very small thing, and you would be correct. It's a small thing that goes a long way, but when it comes to the Pirate Warrior series, it's almost like an evolution, or much like my back after a long editing session, a de-evolution. With the first game, we had not only victory animations, but also entry ones too. This was a great way to hype yourself up to playing as that character. In Pirate Warriors 2, we did lose out on the entry animations, instead getting the usual panning shots of the stage that we're about to jump into. Though we lost the entry animations, at least we still had something to start the stage off with, and the victory animations were still there. But with Pirate Warriors 3 and a lot of other modern Warriors games, we don't have any sort of entry animation. Not even the panning shots of the stage. We also don't have any sort of victory animations, just a splash screen before we go to the results. It's such a disappointment to lose out on this sort of stuff. Like, could you imagine playing a fighting game, beating your opponent only for the game to say victory before taking you to the next fight? It just doesn't connect everything as well as having that small detail. In the end, this game provided me with so much. This was my entry into One Piece. I don't even know if I would have given the anime a chance if it weren't for this game. Considering how massive One Piece is, it's such an overwhelming series to look at. You could always start at episode or volume 1, but there is so much to chew through before you get caught up. Pirate Warriors 3 is such a great way to enter the world of One Piece. It covers a good chunk of the anime and really helps the player get into the story thanks to all of the character conversations and cutscenes. And that's why, with all that's been said, I give One Piece Pirate Warriors 3 a 10 out of 10. Yes, I think Pirate Warriors 3 is a perfect game. I mean, look at everything that's been said. The gameplay and story is extremely solid. Sure, some of the cutscenes are reused from the first two games, and they probably could have been more refined, but if that's all you can complain about when it comes to the visuals, that's gotta mean something. Sure, the visuals on Switch and PC could have been better, but they are still serviceable. If you only have those options and you can't get yourself the PS4 version, it's not like you're going to be left with the worst version out there. No matter what your console option may be, I would highly recommend getting Pirate Warriors 3. I finally unlocked all of the characters thanks to preparing for this review. I'm just missing that one costume for Teach, and then it's really just grinding out to get those levels, coins, and that sweet platinum trophy. I'm also so happy that this game received a similar upgrade to Dynasty Warriors 8 on PS5. This game is joining Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition as one of the few Warriors games I'm willing to bestow the 10 out of 10 rating on. I not only struggled to come up with the cons for this review, but I struggled to really develop my thoughts because all my brain really wanted to say is, this game is good, you should get it. If you take away anything from this year's Musou, take a look at One Piece Pirate Warriors 3, and you will absolutely have a good time.
Anyways, everybody, thank you so much for watching my review of One Piece Pirate Warriors 3. If you enjoyed it, give it a like and subscribe for more. Also, what console did you play this game on? Let me know in the comments below, and if you'd like to help support the channel and what I do here, you can join the guild just like these awesome people that you're seeing on screen right now. You can join their names at the end of every single video for just $1 a month over on Patreon, or you can donate in a one-time fashion and join the volunteer unit over on Coffee. There are other rewards and other tiers as well, so check out the links that you see on screen, and I will see you all down in the comments.